Okay, today's class, we have class A and B together because tomorrow I have to join UTBK as apa ya, menjaga ruangan lah, menjaga ujian gitu. Menjadi panoptikon di ujian. Padahal mah kalau mau jujur aja, kalau nggak usah ditungguin juga nggak apa-apa gitu ya kan. Fasilitator, bagi tukang bagi kertas saja, saya nggak mau jaga. Saya share screen. Ternyata minggu depan itu masih giliran saya sekaligus untuk mengabarkan tugas untuk final test ya, teman-teman. Jadi santai aja ngerjakan PowerPoint presentasinya yang dua yang kemarin. Minggu depan masih saya yang membagi materi. Let's start our class today. Harap semuanya puasanya lancar ya buat teman-teman yang puasa hari pertama. Diberkahi hari yang tidak terlalu panas, cukup sejuk. Nah, dihemat tenaganya walaupun tetap harus aktif. Tidak boleh kendor. Kita sekarang berada di materi fictional and dramatic elements. Most of this material is actually similar to what we found in most literary work like prose and drama, especially drama. But some additional side should be added here because we are discussing film, which is very different in their way of articulating the ideas. So I always remind you that even though there is no written words, no dialogue, no utterance or speech delivered by the action, or sorry, by the character, the moving picture or a display of picture is actually has their own message. You can build a sentence, your own sentence, your own interpretation, and then director also has their own way in showing the mise-en-scene. You can just create an unlimited number of sentences by seeing one picture displaying in film without having any utterances. So it's not only utterances that can be data in film, but scene usually you can call it screenshot, but actually it's the screen or the scene, and then the mise-en-scene can be very useful tools if you want to collect data whenever you want to study film in your thesis writing in the future. I don't want to slice of life because people can get it at home in the street or even in the front of the movie theater. Don't have to pay money to see a slice of life. And I've avoided out and out fantasy because people should be able to identify with the characters. Jadi kalau novel yang fantasi itu menurut kutipan ini bagaimana kita relate sama tokoh dongeng misalnya. Okay, means first of all to tell a story. Making a film means first of all to tell a story. That story can be one that can be an improbable one, but it should never be banal. It must be dramatic and human. What is drama after all? But life with a dull bits cut out. Drama itu adalah kehidupan yang bagian boringnya, yang dull, yang usual, yang ordinary-nya itu dipotong. Jadi kita punya bukan sekedar slice of life, tapi gabungan dari banyak aspek dramatik. That's why in this material we have the dramatic elements. Let's start with differentiatingnya banyak sama. Both plays or drama plays and movies act out or dramatize, show rather than tell what happens. Jadi drama without being performed in the stage is actually only half done. Drama should be performed, and when literary is adapted to movie, they should be act out. Yeah. The main menu, the main articulation is the way the characters or the plot going in a certain acting. And then film is not handy to study. It's not something that you can treat just like the other literary work. It cannot be electively frozen on the printed page. Most screenplays are published not to be read, but rather to be remembered. You remember that scene? Ingat nggak waktu dia kesini? Ingat nggak waktu tokohnya kesini? You usually talk film like that, right? Based on what you remember, not on what you read. Most screenplays are perspective films analysis rest on the principle used in literary analysis. Ya, kalau perspective films itu dia masih memakai apa yang ada di literary analysis. Kalau lagi sambil buka WhatsApp di web ini banyak distraksi. The elements of a good story. Yeah. Any literary work is meant to tell stories. So a good story is unified in plot, credible, interesting, simple, easy to understand, easy to follow, but complex at the same time. It means that there are a lot of to dig up. And then a good story handles emotional material with restraint. Okay, it engage your emotional. Without emotional engagement, usually people will be boring, or they will not be curious enough. They will not empathize enough with the character being. The dramatic structure, the art of storytelling as practiced in a short story, novel, play, or film has always depended on a strong dramatic structure. That is the aesthetic and logical arrangement part to achieve the maximum emotional, intellectual, and dramatic impact. So there are the logical arrangement. Yeah, it is needed to supply our intellectual way in looking at movie, why certain happenings can cause certain outcome, and then what is dramatic about it, and how emotionally how the emotion is built by this aesthetic and logical arrangement. Jadi nggak cuma logika aja, tapi juga harus ada estetikanya, because again literary work and film especially is art. That means it's not only to give you information, it means to affect you. Ya, ada affect, bukan cuma effect, tapi affect. It means it touch your emotional level. Linear and non-linear, but still contain the same element, the exposition, complication, climax, and denouement. That's the unified of the plot. Linear or chronological structure, exposition introduce the character, just like in drama, and then there is complication where the conflict comes to rise. Forces opposition confront each other. So in the climax, usually you know that the biggest things is happen there, the biggest enemy should be fought, or the biggest internal conflict is made in this climax. Denouement, you know, the conflict is resolved, the follows is a brief period of calm. Sama ya ini kronologinya kalau di play terlalu panjang. So there's also non-linear structure. Ini kalau masih ingat pelajaran dramanya ada in media res. It means that the story is like beginning in the middle of somewhere of story, and then flashback, and then fast forward. You already know this. And then conflicts, the mainspring of every story, where it be told on the printed page, on the stage, and on the screen. Yeah, remember that the media here is really differentiate between the three, the three prose in the printed space, and then drama on the stage, and movie on the screen. It is the element that really captures our interest, heightens the intensity of our experience, quickens our pulse, and challenges our mind. That's the mean of conflict. Contoh-contoh film, small shot. Ini Emma Thompson. And then we have also characterization, of course. Character, usually what we follow, whose story we follow in the prose and in the film. Yeah, if we are not interested in film, most human elements, its characters, there is little chance that we will be interested in the film as a whole. Usually the character is what is offered. Usually movie that display a single name character like Forrest Gump, Joker, or maybe Little Woman with their four girls in the main story, Alice and Wonderland, and then what else? Harry Potter. Contoh-contoh yang umum that display a single unique character that must be engaging with the audience. So to be interesting, character must seem real, understandable, worth to care about. So you have to be care. Remember the ya apa namanya yang di aspek di drama itu juga ada, bagaimana kita bisa bersimpati dengan tokohnya. Kemudian there is a characterization through appearance. In film, characterization is revealed visually and instantaneously. So you don't expect any narrator telling about what Cinderella is wearing tonight. It just appears with that blue gigantic gown, ball gown, shimmering, shining, sparkling shoes. Yes, so there is no narrative telling about that. It's only picture, movement, gesture, yeah, the act of wearing the gowns. So that's through the appearance. It's very important. You also find it in prose. It's just approached in a different way. You get it directly from the scene, from the screenshot you take from when you pause the movie. You can put it as your data. We make certain assumption about them because their facial feature, dress, physical build, and mannerism, and then the way they move. Now, this is a very difficult when you have to capture the way a character moves in the movie, because in a printed thesis, you can only get a the freezing image, but itu pinter-pinternya yang screenshot aja sama jelasin bahwa gesture dan mannernya dia itu bagaimana si karakter ini. Ini tadi dia. The same actress playing different character. Pregnant Paul is here, and then his display, you can see like he's a very sophisticated businesswoman with high heels, with short skirt, yeah, different character, even though the same Julia Roberts here. Okay. Characterization through dialogue. Okay. Their true thoughts, attitudes, and emotion can be revealed in subtle ways through word choice. Jadi, remember that word choice is very important. That's why your ability in semantic is very important. Meningkatkan daya kepekaan sebagai anak bahasa adalah melihat word choice-nya. Apakah kata-kata itu berkonotasi positif, berkonotasi negatif, atau netral. Yeah, there is neutral word all around in dictionary, not only negative one, not only the negative one. There is also neutral, means that maybe the character is unable to express their emotion, unable to connect their feeling to the outside world. Usually they prefer to use the neutral word. Through the stress, pitch, and pause pattern of their speech. This is very important that you can also not only to capture the screenshot showing the line, but in your description, you have to be able as well to describe how they talk, in what pitch they talk. Is the character angry? Is the character sad or being melancholy, and so on? It must be in the way they talk. There is no narrator that telling you he is sad. There is only a person crying and saying something through their dialogue, right? Actor use grammar, sentence structure, vocabulary, and particularly dialects. Dialects also reveal a great deal of their character, social, economic level. That's why in sociolinguistics you deal about dialects. Yeah. In American movie, you have to differentiate between the Southern dialect and then the Northern dialect. Siapa yang mereka yang orang Texas cara ngomongnya gimana, agak diseret, kemudian agak santai, kemudian bagaimana dengan mereka yang Northern, or maybe some of them like influenced by Canadian way of speaking. You have to differentiate that. How to be able to be sensitive in that kind of area? It means that you have lot of practice watching movie or listening to those persons speaking different English dialects. Film Inggris, film Amerika, clear enough, ya. Bahkan artis yang sangat sudah profesional, they can adjust the setting. Should I speak like with a Cockney accent, or should I speak like a common American, or should I speak like an Australian? Artis-artis yang dari Australia juga banyak ya, kayak siapa itu, Megan Fox atau yang jadi Wolverine, they are actually Australian. Alright, this one characterization through dialogue. Contoh ya, Possession tells dual interrelated stories about two couples who live in different centuries. Various methods, including obvious contrast in costuming, and then help viewers to differentiate between the two separate narrative in their time levels. Most significantly, the formal diction of the Victorian lovers, yeah, classes with the casual vernacular spoken by the modern lovers. Bahasa orang-orang Victorian seperti apa, metafor yang digunakan seperti apa, bahasa yang orang zaman sekarang pakaiannya, it's all about language. When you talk about speech, please consider the word choice. Yeah, not only they are saying this, they are saying that, but why they choose it. Yeah. In a very detailed. And then characterization through external action. The action should grow naturally out of the character's personality. It means their basic personality can be grasped only from their external action that you can see. Yeah. And if the motivation for a character's action is clearly established, the character and the plot become so closely interwoven, they are impossible to separate. What about the internal action? Inner action occurs with characters, mind, and emotion and consists of secret, unspoken thoughts, daydream, aspiration, memories, fears, and fantasy. But usually they are displayed through pictures in film, like suddenly when it's a flashback, the picture become like black and white, giving you a clue that it's just a memory of childhood or memory of trauma, right? Visually or aurally. Aurally means with sounds, with music. Ya, kalau visual dari gambar, aurally itu dari audio. Into the character's mind so that we see or hear the things that the character imagines, remembers, or thinks about through fleeting glimpse revealed by the means of metaphor. Okay, and then there is also characterization through reaction of other characters, just the same as what we see in prose. Yeah, sometimes a great deal of information, a great deal of information about a character is already provided through such means before the character first appears on the screen. Usually, there are other characters that speak about the main character, just like this example, like Lonnie noticed the broken window and observed, "You must have a quite a brawl in here last night." The owner replies, "I had hut in here last night. That's what I had." The man emphasizes on the name hut, and his tone of voice clearly reveals hut is a synonym of trouble. So hut is actually Lonnie's uncle he's looking for. Hut. Jadi diperkenalkan oleh dialog dari karakter lain. Ya, dialog bisa dieksplor ya. Kemudian characterization through contrast or dramatic foils. The use of foils contrasting character whose behavior, attitudes, opinion, lifestyle, physical appearance, and so on are the opposite of those of the main character. You know, in drama you have foil character yang karakternya sangat berbeda jauh, ditempatkan seperti itu berdampingan dengan main karakter supaya quality dari main karakter itu lebih di-highlight, ya, lebih berkilau di antara yang lain. Like the tallest giant and the tiniest midget might be placed side by side at the carnival sideshow, and the filmmaker sometimes use character in much the same way. Kalau kita suka lihat sirkus, biasanya kan ada orang yang yang kerdil badannya, kemudian nanti ada yang orang yang gigantic, yang super tinggi. Biasanya kalau di karnaval mereka dihadirkan berdua, like as a best friend, or maybe like they act like they fight it as other in a funny way, but actually they highlight each of themselves. Kemudian And then there is also characterization through caricature and leitmotif. Caricature is the exaggerate or distort one more dominant features or personality. Ingat, biasanya gambar karikatur itu dilebay-lebaykan. Kalau bisa kepalanya lebih besar dia dibandingkan dengan bagian tubuh bagian bawah, misalnya kakinya kecil. And then in a characterization, usually there is an exaggeration in one personality, like it's all about anger. It's all about being sad. It's all about being dramatic. It's all about overreaction. Gitu. Leitmotif basically is the repetition of single action. Leitmotif ya, namanya motif itu kalau di baju motif pattern itu kan berulang-ulang. Kalau kita cuma lihat gambar bunga satu, itu bukan, itu namanya gambar bunga sudah. Tapi kalau bunganya kecil-kecil berulang-ulang, it means pattern, it means the motive. And leitmotif is the repetition of single action, phrase, or idea by character until it becomes almost a trademark or theme song for that character. Like in Forrest Gump, in the movie, he says several times about, my mom always said, life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. It's like sudah melekat pada karakter Forrest Gump itu sendiri. Ya. Next. Characterization through choice of name. Remember, name, what is in name? Even in Shakespeare era, he has recognized what is behind a name. Yeah, name typing, carefully examine for the connotation they communicate. Dick Tracy. Dick is slang for detective. Ya, jangan dislangkan yang lain lagi. I know what your mind going. And then Tracy derived from the fact that detectives trace criminals. So the slang term, and then Tracy, like from tracing something, tracing the path, ya, mencari jejak gitu, itu adalah kerjanya detektif. So by calling his name is Dick Tracy, it's just like displaying that he's a real detective. Okay, let's see. We have also in film, basically we have stock characters and stereotypes. Stock characters are minor characters whose action are completely predictable or typical their job. Kayak Mbak Indomaret itu di mana-mana ya. Mbak Indomaret kerjaan actingnya dia di situ ya sebagaimana yang kita melihat sehari-hari ya. They are in film simply because the situation demands their presence. Butuh ada tukang parkir ya, di sana ada tukang parkir. Butuh ada polisi, di situ ada polisi. They are stock characters. Stereotypes, however, are characters of somewhat greater importance in the film. Ya, berbeda ya stereotype dengan, walaupun kadang mereka juga minor, but stereotype fit into preconceived pattern of behavior common to representative of large number of people. Biasanya kalau sudah mungkin ada sebagian kayak kita buka di film ada kayak settingnya harus di Chinatown, maka nanti selain stok karakter yang ada waiternya, nanti kalau misalnya dia dikasih important dialogue pasti ada stereotypingnya sendiri, kayak orang yang jual itu bisa lebih teliti, atau dia notice everything, cuman dia diam-diam aja, memainkan stereotip. Misalnya orang Asia itu punya ketelitian lebih, walaupun kerjaannya hanya sebagai, di film itu dia dipakai untuk menjaga Chinese restorannya, for example, but somehow when a detective come to their store, they can tell anything in detail sih. Biasanya memakai pola-pola stereotypes. Ya. Ya, nah, permainan stereotypes ini yang harus kadang-kadang dalam menggali ideologi di balik film itu harus dijaga. Bagaimana stereotip apa yang dipakai ketika pemerannya dengan mewakili ras kulit tertentu misalnya. Apakah digambarkan selalu jahat ya? Apakah digambarkan kalau orang Rusia biasanya teroris kayak gitu. Permainan stereotip ya. Nah, selain stereotip juga ada ideologi pembuat filmnya atau negara yang membuat film tersebut. Tuh, kalau sudah Rusia nanti deket-deketnya teroris. Nanti kalau dia pakai aktor Itali, mafia. Kalau dia pakai aktor orang Taiwan misalnya biasanya jadi yang membantu tokoh utamanya dalam berkelahi. Kan itu macam-macam. Bisa dilihat dari what stereotypes are brought in the character. Even though it's only stock characters atau stock character. Kenapa stock character penjual toko misalnya harus orang India? Apa yang terjadi di balik sana? Oh, imigran misalnya. Ya, kenapa harus misal toko-toko yang jual harus orang Cina misalnya? Stereotip mereka adalah yang menjalankan bisnis-bisnis seperti itu adalah kaum imigran, for example. Padahal kalau nggak ada yang buka toko, mereka mau belanja apa? Ya, kalau semua maunya pekerjaan yang kantoran, semua mau pekerjaan yang vital-vital saja, terus yang kita beli cabai sama siapa gitu. Kalau di FTV Indonesia misalnya, kenapa sih harus mas-mas kalau udah mbaknya dari kota datang, mesti yang dibilang kampung itu yang orang Jawa misalnya, kayak gitu. Yang lugu-lugu eh, orang yang lebih berpendidikan, lebih kaya misalnya, itu kan mereka memainkan stereotype, ya, kayak gitu. Dia harus hati-hati kepekaan kalian. Okay. Static versus dynamic or developing characters, based on the complication, the difference are about static and dynamic. Developing character deeply affected by the action of the plot, internal, external, or both, and undergo some important change in personality, attitude, or outlook on life as a result of the action of the story. Jadi yang berubah apa yang harus bisa kalian buktikan? Dari segi personality, attitude-nya mungkin dari yang awal dia lugu kemudian jadi kasar, atau yang pertama dia kasar kemudian dia jadi lebih halus, atau yang di awal dia penakut kemudian di akhir dia menjadi berani, ya. Yang awalnya culun kemudian jadi keren, ya. Itu juga bisa dilihat dari penampilannya tadi, against with the appearance, ya. Ya kadang kalau cuma personality aja, aku udah berubah loh, nggak kelihatan. Lu ngaku sama temenmu, aku sudah berubah. Mana buktinya? But in movie usually it is made to be displayed so you can catch the idea. Ya kayak Power Rangers itu kan awal-awal ya cuma satu-satu keluar, lama-lama robotnya makin keren, lama-lama bentuknya makin bagus. Ini berarti ada perubahan dari segi powernya misalnya. Okay. Static characters remain essentially the same throughout the film. The action does not have important effect. Usually static are those in this stock characters or other minor character. Ya. Oke, ini film apa ya ini? Pak, filmnya ada judulnya Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise itu mereka naik mobil berandal banget lah, pokoknya berdua. Kemudian Jim Carrey in The Truman Show, and then Tom Hanks karakter Castaway. Ya dari yang ganteng orang kota sampai dia konfliknya terjebak di pulau, pulang-pulang udah berewokan gitu ya. Jadi dan outlook dia tentang hidup itu berubah. Dia ingin pulang menemui tunangannya, ternyata sampai di tempat asalnya. Akhirnya dia mengikhlaskan saja. Tunangannya mengira dia sudah tidak ada dan kalau nggak salah udah sama orang lain. Ini static ya. Dari awal ini siapa Power ini? Austin Power ya gitu-gitu aja. Flat versus round character. Flat character are two-dimensional, predictable, lacks of complexity, and then the round usually cannot easily understood. Yeah, you know this. Sudah terlalu dipanjang lebar. Let's move to the allegory. Sebentar, ada truk lewat. Sering banget truk lewat di perumahan. I don't know what they are doing. Allegory is a story in which every object, event, and person has an abstract as opposed to merely concrete meaning is known as an allegory. Contohnya kecil banget. In Hiroshima, Director Alain Resens create a haunting allegory about love and war, focusing on the need for remembering profound and traumatic experience. And then in High Noon, Gary Cooper plays as a duty-bound lawman who must single-handedly face down revenge-band desperados because the cowardly townspeople have deserted him. The film is generally considered to be an allegory of the McCarthy Purge in Hollywood. Alegori, jadi kayak alegori, ya majus alegori pernah di poetry kan sudah. And then we have also symbolism, just like how poetry works. Symbol is something that stands for something else. This is the definition. Yeah, sometimes it has universal and natural symbols. Ready-made symbol infused with values and association that the most of people in a given culture understand. Ya, kayak bendera itu sudah ready-made symbol, Garuda Pancasila ready-made symbol. Ya, it is understandable in a given culture. Or a symbol of palang merah, you know that the help is coming when simbol palang merah sudah lewat, begitu ya. Okay. A symbol is charged with their meanings externally through past association with people, event, places, or ideas rather than through their own inherent characteristic. Monggo, ngapain? Sukanya nyiksa binatang kecil. So creating symbol meanings is done with repetition. So again, it's not about kalau di motif, yang lain motif itu untuk karakter. Nah, kalau ini biasanya repetition, simbol. Jadi kalau kalian itu di mesh on scene bisa melihat benda apa saja yang sering muncul, atau benda apa sih yang suka dibawa sama karakternya, bisa dari propertinya atau settingnya berulang-ulang kali. It can be symbolic meaning. Ya. Value, place, an object by the character, and then context, and then special visual aura, musical emphasis. Again, it's not something that is stated directly by the narrator, but you have to be careful enough to find what is being repeated in the movie or the film. Di sini contohnya image of separation in the scene from the Shane farmer's wife stands inside the house while Shane Lanlet, the ex-gunfighter, who is the farmer's hired hand, stand out outside looking in the window. Separated by window, satu di dalam, satu di luar. Ya, Shane is framed through an open doorway, looking in on warm family scene, sitting offside by himself in a meeting of the farmers. The scene show here's an additional levels of meaning. Shane and Marian have strong but unspoken mutual attraction, but keep a wall between themselves. Out basic human decency and their mutual love respect for the farmer. Okay. Symbolic details. One critic, Robert Kerrigan, has convincingly argued that the most potently charged symbol in Citizen Kane is simple glass paperwhite, a snow globe that is broken in the film famous opening. Jadi saya tuh belum nonton lagi dan lagi namanya Citizen Kane ini. Jadi katanya ini opening scene, ini kan biasanya buat pengganjal kertas ya supaya nggak terbang snow globe-nya dan dia pecah di awal. It means something chaotic. Ini kan bisa kita relasikan pada sesuatu yang tenang, damai, tidak banyak terpengaruh sama dunia luar ya. Kalau yang namanya kita lihat snow globe itu kan ya berada dalam isolasi yang damai, tidak akan terjadi sesuatu yang buruk. Tapi ketika dia pecah, that really means something throughout the story. Okay, symbolic values can also be found in conflict. Most conflict, however, tend to take on symbolic qualities so that the individuals or the forces involved represent something beyond themselves. Other symbolic ideas that might be represented by a film conflict are civilization versus barbarism. Jadi tidak hanya sekedar karakter orang ke orang, kalian bisa memperluas bahwa karakter tersebut juga bisa menjadi simbol dari sesuatu yang lebih besar, like civilization versus barbarism, right? And then sensual versus spiritual values. tokoh yang kayak The Sister apa ya, yang kan yang susternya gaul itu yang akhirnya membina mereka nyanyi kor rame-rame gitu kan, di situ ada symbolic value di sana yang value of being moderate, modern, yang mau keluar dari pattern gaya hidup atau gaya bernyanyi, diwakili dengan gaya bernyanyi ala gereja, kemudian dimasukkan di situ penyanyi pop yang bisa menyentuh memberi sentuhan pada cara mereka bernyanyi. It's not only about it must be something uh, symbolic about it. Apa? Nyaringnya. Ini simbol apa ini? Kucing ini kalau masuk selalu nyaring sekali suaranya. Ada change versus tradition tadi yang kayak film The Nun itu, kemudian idealism versus pragmatism, ada orang yang idealis, ada orangnya yang praktisnya gitu, yang bisa dijalanin, kemudian ada individual versus society. Ingat karakter, konflik, apa yang ditempatkan sebagai konflik bisa kalian tempatkan untuk mencari ideologi di balik film. Ya, karena film juga bisa menjadi sumber discourse analysis atau critical discourse analysis. You just have to remember apa sih poin di pelajaran yang teori-teori literaris, teori sastra, kritik sastra dan lain. Bagaimana saya bisa mengaplikasikannya dalam bahasa yang disampaikan film, gitu. Ya, jadi jangan bingung untuk merelasikannya dengan teori, karena semakin kalian tahu unsur yang bisa digali dalam film, bahasanya, angle-nya segala macam, itu semua bisa menjadi sumber untuk kritik sastra atau critical discourse analysis. Bahkan dipakai teori narasi, kalau kita pakai teori narasi yang kayak di structuralism atau binary opposition itu, kita sangat bisa melihat apa ideologi atau wacana seperti apa yang ditawarkan dalam film. Siapa yang opposition, ya, siapa yang lawan, siapa yang kawan. Ya, apa yang dianggap bantuan, apa yang dianggap penghalang. Ya, pakai fungsi-fungsi Carl Jung, kalian bisa mengaplikasikannya dengan ini. Ya. Asalkan apa? Asalkan kalian tahu mana yang bisa jadi data, mana yang tidak. Ya. Tapi biasanya semua bisa jadi data, tergantung sejauh mana, sedalam apa kalian mau menggali, apa yang ditampilkan di dalam. Metaphor, use of visual metaphor is mainly significance in film. And a visual metaphor is a comparison that helps us better understand an image because of its similarity to another image. We know when a person is going to fight when he raises the sword, for example. Yeah. Sometimes metaphor also achieved through the editorial juxtaposition of two images into successive shot. Jadi dua gambar yang ditaruh bersebelahan ditampilkan sebagai berurutan, they mean something. Next we have irony. Irony is the most general sense in a literary, dramatic, and cinematic technique involving juxtaposition or linking of the opposites. By emphasizing sharp and startling contrasts, reversal, perlawanan, and paradoxes, irony adds an intellectual dimension and achieves both comic and tragic effect at the same time. Let's see the first one, the dramatic irony. 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 When character speaks or acts in ignorance of the true states of affairs, the dramatic irony functions to create two separate meanings for each line of dialogue. The meaning of the line as it is understood by an unenlightened character, a literal face value meaning, and the meaning of the line that to the enlightened audience, an ironic meaning opposite to the literal meaning. Usually the characters can speak one line which is really can be grabs at the surface level to the other characters, but because audience is supposed to know some more than the other character, the line, the speech taken, the utterance spoken by the characters will be kind of irony because you know that it's not meant like it is, right? Because you know more than the character that bagaimana hidupmu baik-baik aja, ya mungkin karakter yang lain ya udah baik-baik aja, but you as the audience know the struggle, know the fight, know the characters deeper than the other character. So that's the dramatic irony. I need kipas angin. Kipas angin. Okay, by knowing something that the character does not know, we gain pleasure from being in the joke or secret. In Sophocles' drama Oedipus Rex, he refers to himself as the child of good luck and the most fortunate of men. Because we are aware of the truth, we hear the line as a painful joke. Ya. Padahal Sophocles itu tidak seberuntung itu. Yeah. Irony of situation. Irony of a situation is essentially an irony of plot, a sudden reversal of backfiring of events so that the end result of character section is exactly the opposite of his or her intention. O. Henry, an excellent example in his story, The Ransom of Red Chief, where two hoodlums kidnap a child who is such a demon that they end up having to pay his parents to take the boy back. Jadi dia menculik anak, ya, ternyata anaknya muncul banget gitu ya. Justru orang tuanya yang dibayar, tolong saya bayar kamu untuk ambil lagi anak ini. Itu contohnya. Tuh kayak penculik nyesal gitu ya. Bukannya untung, malah dia yang harus membayar untuk supaya anak itu diambil lagi sama orang tuanya. Irony of setting. Nah, ini yang paling gampang dilihat biasanya, tapi saya nggak tahu. Nggak terlalu banyak contohnya. Atau irony setting itu kayak yang di Joker scene terakhir ya, yang dia lagunya What a Wonderful World. Apa nggak sih lagunya? Bukan. Yang lagu terakhir kan ceria tuh, kalau nggak salah. Tapi dia lari-lari dengan jejak darah di kakinya. Itu kan irony of setting-nya. Okay. Irony of setting occurs when an event takes place in a setting that is exactly the opposite of the setting we usually expect for such event. For example, a birth in graveyard, a murder in an idyllic setting. Kalau di sini danau, anak kecil, banyak bunga, tanaman, semua seperti menyenangkan ya. Scene-nya itu suggesting something like situasi yang untuk piknik, berlibur, vacation. But this idyllic like scene, ya, complete with blooming flowers, seems the perfect setting for a tender moment in Frankenstein when the childlike monster finds a young friend who does not fear him. For a brief moment, they share flowers happily, toss them into water. Then the monster realizes he has no more flowers to toss and reach out toward the girl. Ya, akhirnya tragis. That's the irony of setting. Irony of tone involves the contrast in attitudes or feeling. Nih tadi contohnya tuh ternyata saya ingat yang ini. What a Wonderful World, song that accompanies the bombing sequence in Good Morning Vietnam. Nah, itu tadi ceritanya bombing tapi lagunya What a Wonderful World. Nah, jadi kalau di Joker dilihat lagi deh lagunya judulnya apa. Oke, jadi materinya itu ya hal-hal yang diperhatikan dramatic elemen di dalam film. Beberapa sama seperti characterization, ya. Tapi kalau di drama ya kadang-kadang jarang ada stok karakter tuh jarang, paling stok karakter kalau dia butuh kayak prajurit kan ya termasuk stok karakter gitu ya. Harus bisa bedakan mana yang stok, mana yang stereotype. Kemudian dari stereotype itu kalian juga bisa menggali ideologi, bisa menggali wacana di sana. Lalu irony is very important because what you see is usually uh, the way people act and then the setting, does it give you like uneasy feeling? Tempatnya tenang tapi di situ jadi adegan pembunuhan misalnya di kuburan tapi dia melahirkan beranak dalam kubur. Jadi dari zaman dulu nih beranak dalam kubur. Begitu teman-teman ya. Plot juga tentunya penting. Plot sudah dibahas bolak-balik di prose dan di drama ya. Itu sih nggak banyak yang bisa dirangkum ya karena dia memang scattered gini characterization kecil-kecil. Tetap intinya adalah ketika tidak ada dialog kalian tetap bisa pakai appearance ya, karakter appearance or kalian bisa bilang characterizationist. Rata-rata kan teman-teman gitu, revealing the effect of feminism in karakter, tapi nanti datangnya cuma dialog. Sayang ya. Kalau mau bahas characterization semuanya dipakai, jangan cuma dialog. Ya, bagaimana kalau nggak ada dialognya? Nanti kan ada gesture, ada appearance, ada kostum dan lain-lain. Ada komentar dari sama sebenarnya seperti prose. Cuma kadang mau cari gampangnya aja pakai dialog. Padahal orang loh bisa ngomong di luar dari karakternya. Orang bisa berbicara sesuatu yang irony. Tapi kalian nangkap nggak irony-nya? Gitu. Saya ngomong, apakah ketika saya jadi dosen saya selalu berbicara dengan karakter saya sehari-hari? Tidak. Jadi hanya relying on the utterance is not enough. Yeah. There are a lot of things that can be seen from a film. Yeah. Even the angle can show the character. Itu yang kayak di Matilda waktu dia pertama kali datang ke perpustakaan, dia high angle banget, yang Matildanya terlihat sangat kecil di antara tumpukan buku-buku ya, jadi dia powerless ya. But inside her powerlessness of the all knowledge of the world, actually she find a way to read all the book ya. Seperti anak kecil yang tersesat di dalam perpustakaan, itu angle yang paling sering dipakai contoh juga di dalam kajian film seperti ini. Tugas yang kemarin tuh ya, film adaptasi ya. Untuk yang ini, materi yang ini nanti tidak ada PowerPoint-nya, ya, tidak usah ada PowerPoint-nya, tidak apa-apa. Kita simpan materi ini untuk kalian bikin review, ya, untuk final testnya. Jadi nanti di final test kalian sudah bisa menyentuh hal-hal ini, begitu teman-teman. Oke, itu saja. Minggu depan masih saya akan memberikan materi tentang the importance of film reviewing. That's what will you do for the final test. Untuk mid testnya masih dalam proses koreksi. Nanti mid test nilainya digabung dengan nilai presentasi seperti itu. Ya, jadi jangan khawatir kalau ya bukan jangan khawatir tapi juga saya tidak menjanjikan kalau ada pekerjaan yang saya rasa kurang memuaskan masih bisa kebantu dengan tugas kelompok, ya syukur. Tapi kalau nilai tugas kelompoknya nggak juga ngangkat, ya sudah. I'm trying my best not to give you C. Kalau bisa tuh A semua sih ya, tapi tidak semuanya seperti itu, saya pikir. Oke, teman-teman, tidak usah berpanjang lebar. Kalau sudah jengah lihat laptop, tidak juga bisa pergi minum buat yang puasa ya kan. Silakan beristirahat, lanjutkan apa yang kalian bisa kerjakan untuk mengisi waktu di bulan penuh berkah ini. Saya tidak sabar mau ke pasar cari takjil juga. Masih siang banget ini. Oke ya teman-teman, saya tutup. Ini Vincentius Ferrer serius banget pakai logo Unmul. Saya berasa dilihatin Pak Dekan jadinya. Oke, terima kasih bagi yang sudah bergabung. Terima kasih kelas 6 6A ya yang sudah bersedia di hari ini karena besok kita tidak bisa bertemu. Sampai jumpa minggu depan. Saya izin leave. Thank you everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Saya izin.
you, Miss.
Um,
Thank you.